What's going on, fantasy entertainer, the motivator, the educator, Lecrae back with another CHH now. And today we are about to watch Lecrae. And the reason why he left Columbia Records, he just put out a video a few hours ago, and I just saw it. And I'm going to watch it with you people because you know what? I can screen capture my computer now. But before I do that, man, here's what I need you to do. Subscribe to the channel, man. Let's get this to 1,300 subscribers, man, and also hit the notification bell. It will let you know that every time I drop a video, I drop everything CHH. I try to do hip-hop as well, but it doesn't really work, and a little bit of current events. So, like I said, Lecrae has just released a video explaining why he dropped Columbia Records, and we're going to watch it. We're going to talk a little bit about this, man. So let me do this. Let me go over here. Let me go over here and let's watch the video together.
What's going on, y'all? This is Lecrae. So, some of you may have read an article about this. Some of you may have seen a post here or there, but I want to give you some raw, uncut facts. And
now I got to pause it for a second, guys. Okay, so Lecrae's shirt that says January 5th, 1911. All right, dope shirt. His hair grew kind of fast because he had like a little Caesar, not a Caesar, but he had like a little Gumby when he cut his hair. And his hair kind of growing back a little bit. And Lecrae looked like he's getting buffer. Look, guys, this brother right here looks like he's getting kind of swole. Let's continue.
I think there's a lot you can learn from this. Why did I leave Columbia Records? A lot of people were a little disappointed when I initially went to Columbia Records.
So I had to stop it right there because he was right. A lot of people felt as though that Reach Records should have just kept going, and why did you need a major deal in order to advance the work that you have already been done, especially for the past 10 years. And the fact that Lecrae only signed with Columbia Records. It wasn't his whole artist, just Lecrae. So let's see what he has to say about that.
And running Reach Records independently for years now, over a decade, and God has been very gracious to us. At the time Anomaly came out, it was the #1 album, #1 in so many different categories.
Pretty dope, by the way. Anomaly was a really, really good album. It was the last album that he produced through Reach Records before he went to Columbia. Gravity was really well, but then Anomaly was the album that really, really gained the attention of the mainstream media. I mean, a lot of his other albums got the attention, but Anomaly was that one that actually did the job.
It was really kind of mind-blowing that this small independent label could take an album #1 in multiple different categories on the Billboard charts. And I saw the pull that it put on my label, on the staff, and I never wanted to become the artist that took all of the work and all of the staff for himself while his other artists struggled by the wayside. So I wanted to have my artists have the capacity and the capability to use a staff and take some of that pressure off my staff.
So, sorry about the ticking. That is from watching the video and also playing it on my computer. But bear with me with the clicking. If you can hear that. If you can't hear that, just don't forget about it. But he says something very important that I want to kind of break down real quick. He says that he wanted to not to take the resources away from his artists that are assigned to the label, being Lecrae being the biggest artist on his own label, that he wanted to have his own team to kind of help him and have his team at Reach Records devote their time to the other artists, because he didn't want to be the artist who signed a whole bunch of artists, but the focus always went to the #1 artist, which is Lecrae at the time. So that's wisdom, my people. That is speaking of wisdom. Let's keep going, Lecrae.
And the way to do that was to find a different staff to take care of the project. And so Columbia became that different staff to take care of the project that we would trust to take us to different places. The pros in that situation is that they have relationships and networks that we didn't have, right? Obviously, they've been working in the mainstream music and radio and all those.
So one thing that I want to kind of emphasize, people, that a lot of you artists don't understand. networking and connection is two of the biggest things that a lot of artists that are very, very dope, but don't necessarily get the opportunity that that you look at and be like, man, look, why this artist is not getting those opportunities? Because a lot of times it boils down to the people who you know and what they know. You know what I'm saying? Like the who they know can get you as far as radio plays, get you in certain playlists, get you in certain performance spots, and it's very awesome. And also the connections. It's like the network and the connections. It's like, man, those two things right there are powerful. Keep going, Lecrae. Spitting gems out here.
Different places, so they had access to stuff that we didn't have access to. The cons were that we were a small independent label and we were used to our freedom and just being able to move when we want to move and do what we want to do, when we want to do it, and how we want to do it. When you're working with a major label that has hundreds of artists, they have so many different priorities. And so if this artist's album's coming out on June 5th, then your album can't come out on June 5th because all the priorities focused on that album. So it's those types of issues that created problems with fluidity. We tried it, and man, there was some highs and some lows of that relationship.
So I want to kind of stop there real quick. I am going to skim past the actual. He had the actual advertisement for his mentor thing, but the fact of the matter is, we look at Lecrae and the Christian hip hop spirit and like, yo, this is the biggest artist ever. Point blank, period. Now, some people that are older and know the business, the music business, we understand that, Lecrae is a big artist, but he's not quite that big when it comes to mainstream hip hop. But in our space, he's one of the biggest artists to ever do it in the space of a Christian who's a rapper or a rapper who's Christian. I'm not going to get into the debate right now because we're talking about Lecrae real quick. So the fact is that when he went over to Columbia, he was no longer big dog at Reach Records, right? That's his own label. He had to fall in line with everybody else. So everything happens and it's strategic, right? So if you want to drop an album, you can't be like, yo, let's go in the studio, let's work on it, boom, let's put it out. Here's what you have to do. You have to schedule when the album's going to release, and depending on who's releasing at that particular time, will allow you to release or not. So let's say you want to release in the same time that Drake wants to release. Newsflag, you're not going to do it. And then these big labels, especially Columbia, they have so many high-profile artists out there, right? So it may be a while before you release your music, and you have to get everything cleared before you release anything, okay? The freedom as an independent artist, if you want to release a record, release a record. If you want to record it, put it out, that's your prerogative. But with a major label, you cannot do that. So let's see what Lecrae has to say about this.
That we have a vision and a mission that we feel like God has given us. And obviously when you team up with somebody else, they have to support your vision and mission. And sometimes there can be a conflict in the vision and the mission. And so that's always going to be an issue that you have to run into. But the biggest thing is that we like the fluidity to do what we needed to do when we wanted to do it. If you've heard the song Deep End, Deep End was written, recorded, and put out in days in response to everything that I was experiencing and everything that was going on in society with the societal unrest. And that's something that I would not have been able to do at a major label because there's so much red tape that you have to go through in order to get something like that out.
So, Lecrae said that he had a mission and a vision from God. And that when you're connected with a record label, a major record label, it can collide together. So just keep that in mind, okay? And they said Deep End was written in like maybe like a week's time span, and the video pilot releasing that whole week. That's how you can move when you're an independent artist. Keep on going, Lecrae. Keep dropping those nuggets.
On top of that, a lot of the work that I got to do with Love Beyond Walls and helping out with the making sure that there were sinks around the country, hand washing stations, people to wash their hands in. That's something that oftentimes a major label will say, hey, how can we, get behind this and use it for something? And they'll want to get behind it, but they have such a long runway. And for me, I just do stuff. I do it when I feel it. I don't tell anybody. I didn't tell anybody I was gonna go do that. I just did it. It's harder to get behind an artist who's active in different kinds of ways. So The biggest thing I would say for young artists out there is a major label relationship. You have to go into it knowing what your vision is and making sure that they support your vision and that you have a clear understanding. The best possible scenario for somebody who has a vision, a mission, and they know what they want to see done is to be independent or work with a smaller label that can move quickly and really support the vision that you have behind you. On one end of the spectrum, a label is a bank. I mean, that's a pretty good way to look at it. It's a bank that has resources. It's got financial resources, it's got people resources, and if you don't have those, then sure, you can look at the label as that. I didn't need a financial bank. We were doing fine financially. I needed the relational bank. I needed the relational resources, and we were able to navigate those spaces, build the relationships that we needed in order to move forward in the way.
Yes, so that is Lecrae. Man, he said a handful and a half. So I think the ultimate goal here is, as an artist, as an aspiring artist, look at it this way. Independency, even though it's a lot of work, it is a blessing rather than being a curse. Now, if you get to that certain point, and Lecrae had options to just sign with a major. A lot of people don't have the option to sign with a major label in a way where it's a partnership, where in a way where, you know, he probably kept, we don't know how his deal was structured, but he probably kept a lot of his ownership, his rights for it. They probably helped him with the marketing budget behind it, because you have leverage if you sign to a label, but your independent record label allows your album to go number one, not in the Christian space, not in the rap space, but in the country. That is a hard feat to do, and they sold 72,000 records. And Anomaly at this particular point in time is a gold-selling record. Not a lot of Christian hip-hop artists have gold plaques on their wall. So I think, man, it's a great move. I'm excited to see what he's going to do with his next album, Restoration, on his book drop. Yes, I'm going to get the book. I'm a fanboy. Please talk about that in the comment section below. But I'm curious to hear what you got to say, man, about this whole situation as far as Lecrae leaving Columbia Records. Did you like Deep End? I thought Deep End was a good sample size. You know what I'm saying? Like, but in the climate, a lot of people wanted to write songs like that spoke about social injustice. So Lecrae's voice was a little bit louder, especially in our space, in the Christian hip hop space. But do not sleep on the fact that, man, Restoration is going to be dope, and hopefully he releases it in 2020, man. I think they're waiting on the quarantine to kind of slack down, man, because I wouldn't want Lecrae to drop a record during this time when you can't promote it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would want him to go on tour, and I would want to see if I can see him prayerfully in Greenville. Lecrae, if you're watching this video, man, please come to Greenville, South Carolina. The last time you came up here was 5 years ago. You either come to Columbia or Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? Greenville's only 2.5 hours away from of Atlanta. You can do it, my brother. We can make that thing work. But I'm just speaking in general, man. But I really want to hear what you got to say about this, man. So write in the comment section below, what do you talk about this, man? And also, here's what you got to do, man. Go to chhnow.com, the latest and greatest in Christian and hip hop. And also, man, I need you to vote. If you made it this far, I need you to vote for my top 10 list, okay? I have a chart. We have charts here at CHH Now, and a new chart is coming up tomorrow, but you can vote. Go down the list below and listen to the playlist and vote on the songs, man. I got a Google Doc survey. You fill it out, man, send it back and help me tremendously. Again, it's the entertainer, the motivator, the educator, and please don't forget all three. Lecrae Murray back with another CHH Now. And Lecrae gave us a reason why he left Columbia Records. He still have Reach Records. Let me know what you think about in the comment section below. But until next time, people.